when I post these videos and people start commenting, and some people seem to vocalize a bit of hesitancy, or at least they advise to practice a bit of restraint when trying to communicate with NHI, because they say you don't know what it is you're communicating with.
Yes, I know.
Are you saying everybody should just try in their own right to do this, or like?
No, I'd be careful. There a lot of a lot of this. No, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
The reality that is being revealed to us in this process is that there is a field of possibilities that we're bathed in the choices that you make in the next microsecond into what they call collapsing the wave function of all the different opportunities, and directing your intention into the field to collapse the wave field of probabilities and possibilities into a particular certainty is how reality happens. Okay. And so that if you bring to this experience a fear, a concern that, that these are diabolical entities out there, or demons, or satanic beings, or something like that. If you do that, you're bringing that aspect of potential reality into play. Okay. And so that people need to be extraordinarily careful not to go treading into that. I remember Father Bill Davis, who the Jesuits have this saying, yes, I've gone through all the Jesuit training and I've now been ordained, and I still believe, sort of. And what it is that you've really, by the time you get done with the 12-15 year period of being trained as a Jesuit, you've come to disassemble the kind of simple-minded, childlike mythologies that you've been exposed to that have led you to want to be a priest.
Right.
Some people, right? And you've had
counterproductive almost.
You've had that stuff disassembled for you, and that if you have an adequate faith in there, that there is sense. This makes sense that there's kindness in the universe, and that you maintain that faith through,
Sure.
and you start to discern the pieces that come together to form a different pattern of reality, and you come to see, oh, lo and behold, it turns out that there was an essential truth hidden in that whole kind of childlike mythology, and you really understand that most of those premises that were set forth were done when 99% of the people were completely illiterate. We were talking about this last night. They didn't even go more than 50 miles away from the place that they were born. Back, we're talking 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
We're talking about the treaties of, the various treaties when they came together, the councils of Nicaea and others. These doctrines were solidified back at a time when those who had the rare opportunity to be adequately educated to be able to formulate those kind of doctrines, were dealing with people that were completely illiterate. And they had to be they had to have things communicated to them in very simplistic, reductionist forms in order for them to grok them at all. And what happens is institutions, ossify, and they stay locked on those things. That old mistaking the roadmap for the road,
right? Yeah.
And so the part of the role of the Jesuit order is at least since Pedro Arrupe came on as the superior general back in 1962, is to undertake a genuine reformation of the church. And to get down to getting ready for the 21st century of what's been discovered, because he came in after the discovery of quantum physics and the whole question of the reality of how human consciousness participates in the process of collapsing the wave field,
the wave function,
the wave function into reality. And so this is not something to be toyed with, but the fact of the matter is that's part of what we're doing as the New Paradigm Institute.
Go into it with a loving intention.
A loving attention and faith in the goodness of the universe,
right?
In the goodness of other sentient beings, and in the goodness, the basic goodness of every human being, almost no matter what the condition is they find themselves in, that there's a conscious person being in there that is innocent in wanting to believe in the goodness of the world. And that's how the goodness of the world rises into being, you know? And so that we have to participate. That's the kind of faith that people have to have, not the faith in some white anthropomorphic being sitting on a throne somewhere out of some medieval, image that they have, but and not to be naive about the kind of
possibilities,
the people who have collapsed the wave function in different ways. I mean, I sat talking to a judge one time, a state judge in Florida, who was proud of the fact that he had defended a motorcycle gang that had kidnapped this young woman who was hitchhiking on the road and crucified her, and that he got them off. And I'm sitting here saying, what am I talking to this person for? How could anybody be proud of having done something like that? He was just proud of, his abilities,
his feat,
an accomplishment of some sort, and so there are people who have abilities to through force of personality and character and stuff can make things happen that are bad. And when you encounter those kind of people, you have to really transcend the temptation to get caught in their field of hating them, and I've not always been successful. I remember I sat across the table from the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan in North Carolina that had gunned down, 6, labor organizers who were trying to organize a labor union in a textile mill down in Greensboro, North Carolina. And he came to the table, the deposition table, and he had a pin with 6 human skulls on it, on his lapel, for the people that they had shot in the head and killed, who were demonstrating on behalf of organizing a union in the textile mills. And I said, are those what I think they are there? And he said, oh, yes, they are. And he started giving off all those kind of vibes that, that when I played linebacker in college, I would have knocked you down.